You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, everybody. Quasar Markets Live. How are Jets today? Look, it was a good Juneteenth. I hope everybody celebrated nicely. But let's get back to the markets this morning. I mean, it's a pretty quiet morning here, but nothing really happened over the last few days. And look, I'm pretty happy about everything going on. I think we're going to see a melt up. One of the things I was concerned about was whether or not that the war was going to escalate. And we're not seeing that, right? We're seeing where Trump and the Iranians are coming to the table, actually want to come to the United States. That should tell you everything you need to know about what's going on over there, that they are defeated and humiliated. And so now here they are, they're coming to the table. Look, it's very simple to me. I will tell you that I like this market right now. Back, a couple days ago, I was like, man, it's getting a little bit nervy to me, but I like this. And so I went long NVIDIA, I went along Tesla, as everybody knows here. I took a little bit of profit off of that, but still long there. I added to it a little bit this morning. We did add to NVIDIA today as well. And then Eli Lilly and also Boeing, BA. Look, with Eli Lilly, I want to talk about some news today that I saw. The number 2 largest import to the United States is Ireland. Why is it Ireland? Listen, I just found out this morning that there is shipments that are way more than gold and worth more than gold coming over to the United States. And what is that? That's going into a little state called Indiana. Why Indiana? Well, that's where Eli Lilly is. That's where the Zepbound and the Wegovy and those stocks are being made right now. A lot of weight loss drugs, and the weight of those weight loss drugs is worth more than literally gold. And liquid, I think we'll start calling it liquid gold coming over to the country. But it is now the second largest. We are the country of Ireland, and the second largest importer to the United States. That should tell you exactly what's going on. We've been talking about this for almost a month now and in detail, but over 6 months now about what we thought was going to happen, including seeing McDonald's continue to slip, which I think we're seeing this morning, as well as these weight loss. Now, that's why I bought Eli Lilly. I know that there's some issues going on right now, but it is interesting to me. The other thing that I said we need to see was a little bit of clarity, and that news is coming out now that Putin says that Russia's economy is growing, not only thanks to the military complex. He also says he sees growth across all systemically important industries. Not really sure what he's talking about. There are a few industries over in Russia. One of those is natural gas being shipped to the Europe area. And we're seeing, of course, the military complex obviously growing with needs for tanks and bombs and weaponry. So I don't really know what he's talking about when he sees, because we're seeing major issues there in Russia with their economy. So I'm not really sure what he's saying. Look at looks like I'm just seeing some news here that Meta, that's Facebook, their limited edition Oakleys, the new wearables coming out, will be available for pre-order come July the 11th. Another thing that Howard and I have been talking about was wearables. Where are we going to see these wearables? It's going to be everywhere. And by the way, Quasar Markets, if you haven't signed up for it, sign up for it, because you can use it in your wearable, whether that is your Oakleys, whether that's your Oculus, your Apple Vision Pro, whatever you're using, your watch. It actually works in all of them, so you don't even need to download. It automatically works. You don't even need an app, but if you want to, you can put the app inside the system. We built it that way too for you at $15 a month. So there we go. Look, that's pretty cool. Some things that we've been talking about for a while. Fed Governor Waller says the central bank could cut as early as July. We have been saying that. That's what my pretension is, that we're going to see a cut in July. I know that Trump is saying that he really wants to see this cut. He wants to see 100 basis point cut. I don't think we're going to see that, right? That's a little much. I do think we'll see something closer to a 25 basis points and that's where we'll be. Bitcoin now 106 back there, pushing right back up the line. Nothing changing there a little bit, especially with the new stable coin bill now that's passed to here now. And we are getting bigger and bigger news out of governments, especially foreign governments and now our own, about this, right? So that we are approving stable coins, which is really good. We want to see that. Circle being one of those companies, I think, too, as well. All right, let's get to it. 10-year now sitting at 4.421%. A little bit of a slippage there as they don't need to spend as much money to get it. And the auction last week was pretty good. So we're still seeing that. Look at this, Eli Lilly now. Eli Lilly now at $7.90 now a share, popping this morning. As I said this morning, I thought that we would see a nice move here, up 0.63%. Keep my eye, as you know, it's what I've been looking at here. NVIDIA also up a little bit here, and Tesla also up about $6 a share. Woof. All right, there we go. Okay. Moving forward here, we're seeing in the Dixie, the dollar, and we will have Steve Flanagan on later today. I'm looking forward to talking to him because, quite frankly, he has nailed it. He said, look, the bottom is right around 95.5, 96, somewhere in there, 94.5, somewhere in between those areas. And he's been right? This is where the bottom is, and the dollar is holding steady here. Advanced decline now up almost 2,000 here in early trade. I think a lot of people were worried that we would see more news coming out of the Iran-Israel war as the United States is stepping up into the war itself. But we're not seeing that, right? So that's good. It's backing off a bit, and that helps push the markets back up as the sell-off happened the other day. And it didn't bother me at all. I like these dips because we're still seeing the dip buying is still happening. And all the things we're talking about, dollars holding steady. Oil futures now, like crude, now sitting at 73.25 now a barrel. Need to get it back below $70 a handle. That $70 handle seems to be where people love it. But right now, that is what we're seeing. And I will look at it from the perspective of the Qs here, and gold. Spot gold now, 33.46. You heard from Howard last week talking about gold, him seeing all of the commercials on gold. That right there tells you a lot. I've said this before. If you start to see a lot of gold commercials coming on TV, it's for very good reason. They want to dump their gold. And we're seeing that now. And now gold 33.47. So about $40 lower than what we have been seeing over the last week and a half to 2 weeks now, as it looks like commodities are pulling back. If the dollar continues to weaken, then that will cost, that'll be a little bit tougher for oil and gold. But right now, we're not seeing that right now. All right. Keeping our eye on the news. Looks like Israeli military says that citizens can leave protected areas, signaling Iranian missile threat is over. That's probably why we're seeing a little bit of this move up to the upside in the markets. As when I always talk about it from the perspective of overall, right? We need to see clarity, and clarity is getting a little closer as Iranians want to come to the United States, and that they're saying that there possibly no more bombs coming over. That would be a great thing, and that would put the markets back on track. Probably two things covering the shorts that were already on from the other day. As markets were closed yesterday, and probably getting a little bit bullish as we push forward to the next level of the markets. Look, we don't need much more, and this market could take off. I'm starting to feel that way again. I got nervous a couple of days ago, and I don't get nervous, but if bombs are flying, that's something that we cannot control. We cannot understand the markets, and we don't really normally understand the geopolitical side of things. Sometimes that's why I have Quasar Markets, right? But when I'm looking at it now, I want to make sure that this is what the Iranians want, that they don't have enriched uranium, and that they're actually not wanting to pursue a nuclear weapons. So as long as that's the case, I like this market the way that it is. I think and as you know, I bought more. I bought more Tesla this morning, and it looks like I'm happy. And I bought more NVIDIA and Boeing and Eli Lilly. So I've increased my positions a little bit more here this morning. Seeing a little bit of news. We're once again hearing about the new Oakley models of Meta. It seems like it's a big deal today. We'll keep our eye on Meta today. As I've said overall the last few months, that wearables are the next thing. If you're not building and planning for wearables, you're in the past, because smartphones. I mean, we're already seeing this now, right? People are already buying the Meta Oakleys. We're already seeing people wearing Oculuses and Apple Vision Pros. But what we have today won't be what the future is. We want to make sure, as we're building, including us here, that we're building for the future, and that's what we have to do. We don't have a choice in the matter at all. Let's get to it. I'm going to pull some charts up today. I think it's probably a lot of people will be interested in charting this morning. I will start to pull up my charts. There we go. Present these charts. Share the screen. And I'm going to show you how I look at the markets in the mornings. I know that my screens look a little bit crazy. I do keep eye on a lot of these functions. But if you'll notice right here, this is, I'm going to pull up this is the 1 day chart right now. Pull up to the side a little bit there. We are still seeing a turnaround here as it's getting lighter on the sell side on the histogram. So I think on NVIDIA, we are seeing a little bit of a push. If we can break above that 145-ish area there, I think we should be good to go. I'll pull it up there 145.60. We need to get just a little bit higher, and then I think we'll be okay here a little bit. All right, pulling up a little bit more here. We'll do what I was talking about earlier with Tesla. Tesla, I think, again, there he goes, up $6 a share here to the 327.98 handle. This is the daily chart. I want to pull up a 1 minute chart. There you go. And I think we're seeing some buyers stepping in constantly all morning long. I'm going to pull up the 3 minute chart, which is what Wall Street uses. And you can see down here that it's getting a little bit more bullish throughout the morning here as the open starts. Now, will there be some profit taking? Possibly. But I'm looking at the monthly chart here, and the monthly chart is telling me everything I need to know. We're still going higher. So, and then the weekly chart, there we go. It's giving a little bit still bullish, not as strong as I'd like it to be, but it is still fairly bullish here. We'll pull up McDonald's, and McDonald's up just a little bit, but as you know, there's that selling that I talked about on Schwab Network last week, as well as, now if you look, that's the ARK Fib fan that I look at all the time, and as well as the buyers and where the sellers are, the DMAs. And right now, I am not seeing this still on McDonald's. Yeah, it's up a little bit, 70 cents, but I think it's because it's a bullish day. This is a weekly chart, and you can see that selling started a few weeks ago as I talked about it, and I sold myself. I still see more selling here, probably down here to about the 276, might even go down to 260. So we've got a little bit more room to run here, another 30 points here to the downside. All right, we'll get to it right now. And Eli Lilly, the other one that we talked about this morning, and happy because yesterday, on 2 days ago, Wednesday, that selling, I had a feeling I bought on that dip, and now look at it on the upside. So I am liking this. If you look on the daily chart, same thing. You can see that buy signal right there, kaboom. I like that the other day, and I like that too. And now the news is also telling us that, hey, look, when you look at it from the weight loss drugs, they're not just in weight loss drugs. They're in lots of drugs that they're working on. So I kind of like this here too as well. If there are any stocks out there that you want me to look at, give you some charts, we can do that too for you as well. I want to keep my eye on the news because right now, here we go. Seeing some news coming in here now. We'll pull this up as well. There you go. Looks like, Steve, Alistair Crook on Israel's attack on Iran. Says the attack on Iran by Israel was made possible because Witkoff and Trump and others had suggested there be no attack, no military action by Israel at all, while the peace talks are continually going on. So it looks like I think the end of the fighting probably is coming up. So I think that's why you're seeing a lot of this bullishness. I like this Eli Lilly up $6 here this morning. The other day we watched Cero, CERO. That was the one that we crushed it a little bit at the upside and then took our profit and ran. As it's got another drug coming up. There we go. I'll pull it up there for you. I'm still not a happy camper here, so I'm not going to buy anything here, do anything right now. I'm still staying on the sidelines for this one. There we go. There's Peabody Energy. One that I am liking here a little bit, especially with the nat gas issue and the coal issue, is could be pushing up. I expect it as we go through the summer. Could see a push all the way in the 20s here, 19 to 20, and about 21 could be the high right there at 19. So looking for a push in natural gas and especially coal right now as we go in summertime. Why is that a big deal? Because right now we're not getting a lot of that natural gas from international. We're getting it straight from the United States. So they are one of the biggest suppliers there as well. One stock that I have been looking at for a while, and you can see it here again, right here. I've talked about it. Howard and I have been talking about it for a while, and that's Royal Caribbean, best in class when it comes to cruise lines. I'll pull up just a little bit for everybody. You can see that it got to about 281 up there. It got flipped down up to about 254, but I'm not concerned about it. I think we're going to continue to push up as we go through the summer. The Mediterranean cruises are picking up again. And you are seeing where the buyers are again. So there you go. Here we go again. Probably crossing over that 280 soon. We're at 270 already. So could see that very quickly soon there. It's up another $2 again today. You know, the 52-week range is 279.89. That's the high. So if we break above that 280 area, should go right on up. I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot, actually. Reuters now saying that buyout firm Penta is choosing bankers for the sale of the Britain's Amber River. So Penta, yeah, look at there. More M&A. We're seeing M&A constantly going on. Once again, M&A is happening. So when I look at this, the markets, I got to look at the 10-year, where the 10-year is. I'll tell you where the markets are, right? And we can tell you where M&A is headed. So I'm looking for companies. Now, I will tell you there is one stock here that is still bothering me, and that's Intel. Still not quite there. Yep. We are. There you go. Intel has appointed Srinivasan as the senior EVP to lead a new customer engineering center. So they're trying at Intel, but they're just not showing what I need to see. And what I need to see is that they're working towards a new goal here. And I'm just not seeing that yet. So I'm still staying away from Intel, but I kind of do want to buy Intel at some point when I feel like they are coming back. But I am not seeing that yet. All right. FedEx, I got a package this morning, as a matter of fact, through FedEx for Amazon. You can see it right here. I'm going to pull up the 1-minute chart this morning. I do expect FedEx. Yeah, FedEx pushing up just a little bit here this morning as a lot of companies are pushing up. But I do expect FedEx. I do believe shipping will start up. I usually buy shipping stocks, FedEx, UPS, DHL, sometime around the fall as the holidays begin to sharpen a bit. As holidays begin, not only just for Christmas and Hanukkah, but also for Halloween, as shoppers need their costumes, as Thanksgiving for dinner, and for things that we are shipping for your home, to fix up your home in the wintertime, the summertime. So I do like to buy FedEx sometime around there. So I will keep my eye on it, probably around August, late September, somewhere in those two areas. Shipping becomes a big deal, especially down the south, where hurricanes happen, and they need to stock up. I know that feeling very well. According to Challenger Gray and Christmas, that's an employer company that kind of here reports that Iran is determined to defend itself with all force. That's what their new leader there, their military leader. There you go. Put that in there so you guys can see that. There you go. And the next line here with you is the Challenger line we talked about, is that we're hearing that U.S. employers announcing almost 100,000 job cuts in May, up 47% from the month last year. Now, here's what I don't understand, because you heard it from Powell saying, oh, the jobs are in line, job cuts are not coming this hard, and we're still holding at 4.2, and that's one of our dual mandates. Give me a break. Right now, you're still seeing, Iran's foreign minister says we are supposed to meet the Americans on June 15th to craft a very promising agreement on our nuclear program. That news is coming in swift. There you go. And you can see here that This, I think, is what's pushing the markets up, that we're seeing a little bit more clarity on the news around Iran. To me, that's very important, because if we do see that, then I think we do see a push up all day up here. All right, seeing now dollar CAD now up, looks like up 38.2%, down from the month of May's highs. So dollar CAD still pushing up, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think the loonie is still having troubles here. There's Humana. As we see these insurance stocks, we're getting beaten up. I'll pull up a day chart there. They were getting totally beaten up, but look here. You're seeing some buying coming in some of these, and I know people want to see Humana. No, they want to see UNH. There you go, United Health. Look, United Health is starting to firm here a little bit. There was a buying opportunity not too long ago, right around the 288 level. That gave you a clear signal. Now, right now, the buying is slowing down, which is fine. I understand that, but there is some serious gaps here. If it breaks that gap there at around 340, it'll burst to 377. And the next gap there is around 480, all the way up to 587. So some of these insurance companies I am very interested in. There you go. There's something else I'm watching. As you saw me talk about it not too long ago, the dollar strengthening against the rupee here again. Talked about that with Steve Flanagan not too long ago. And Adobe had a rough week so far. I'm still not liking it, even though it is up about 0.5% here today, probably on the back of everything else is strengthening up. And there is a gap up here to 409, but I'm not liking Adobe right now either. Let's pull up Intuitive Machines. We talked about the space race. Space race is still coming. Yep, still seeing more news coming in from Fed Reserve's Christopher Waller saying rates could come at as early as July meeting. That is what I said. That's what I predicted for July meeting, that we will see rate cuts coming in July. Moleculin Biotech, MBRX, they're announcing a $5.9 million public offering right now. MBRX. And that should hit the stock this morning. And it is, look at that, stock's down another 45%. Penny stock there, be careful out there. Probably not a good thing. And if that's the case, getting closer and closer to being delisted. These penny stocks are getting tougher and tougher. But let's see what they do with that money. Palantir still pushing higher here at 140.61. Buying it at 35. I was very excited, but now here at 140. I'm not so excited on this. As most people know, last week I have been negative on the stock. I am not short the stock, but I think that the price of the stock is way out of whack right now. If you ask me, as is going to break over the 144.61, I think is the highs. Market cap of this company now is 330 billion. Last about 2 months ago, it was right about half of that. So yeah. Hearing reports that Xi Jinping will make it clear that China will support Iran if the U.S. enters the conflict. Interesting news there, because that I did not expect them. Expected China to stay out of the conflict here. That means that there could be some things on the sideline where China and the United States are actually. But it must make it clear that China will support Iran. Okay, there you go. So there's your answer there. There you go. One of the things we need to watch out for today is expiration date for the monthlies happens today. So be careful. There'll be a lot of people that might have been short today or long or hedges and things of that nature. And you'll not know why all of a sudden things are just kind of out of whack a little bit. So that's another reason why. Supermicro is up 2.27%, up 3.15% a couple of days ago. Looks like Supermicro may start the build. You can see here that we're starting to see a little bit of, I'll pull it up for you. You can start to see that the Supermicro is starting to build a little bit, building a base here. And this is the main direction of where we're going. And you can see it's pushing to the upside. And we do have some gaps up here to cover. And this is all the way back to, looks like March the 11th, 10th and the 11th, where it got up to this place right there. The 12th is where it actually stayed. And I think we could go back up there this morning. So 45.52, that's a handle I want to keep my eye on pretty closely there. If you can get a chance, make sure you retweet this out. Make sure that you like and subscribe. But we want to see that. And then if you don't mind, it's a free sign up. Go to quasarmarkets.com, click the button, and just sign up. It's a free sign up. If you want the full blown version of it, it's $15 a month. That's it. We are made it about as cheap as possible. We are trying to build out the next version of the next big deals. Yeah, I'm gonna pull this off. For those of you who have been keeping your eye with me on it, it's Cameco Corporation. That is uranium, and you can see, quite frankly, right there. Look at that, kaboom! We've had a nice run in uranium stocks. Now, uranium to me, I'm gonna pull up a weekly chart here. It's way out of range. They are on their near their 52-week high, which is 71.31. I think right now we're at 69.79. So I think it was a couple days ago, it jumped up a little bit too as well. Hit that high, and there's where we are. Hearing Naka, NAKA, Kindly MD, and Nakamoto announce an additional $51.5 million in PIPE financing to support the Bitcoin treasury efforts. We're hearing this quite a bit, that more companies are actually, there we go, there's Kindly MD. Boom, look at that jump. Is looking to, there you go, fund more Bitcoin, and this is healthcare services. Woof, look at that. Interesting. Healthcare company taking Bitcoin. So I guess when I'm sick and old, and they'll be able to take my Bitcoin. All right, it's payment. Fed's Waller goes on to say rate cuts should be considered by July, given inflation data. Yeah, he's right. I mean, inflation has come down. We're seeing that. I said this earlier yesterday, 2 days ago now, Wednesday, that Powell is concerned, right? If he's saying, hey, think about it. We got inflation in check, but it may come back. It might bite us in the butt. We don't want that to happen. So we'll go another month without lowering rates. And so I think that's what you're seeing today. I think it's exactly what you're saying, actually. All right. Mercado Libre, that is the Amazon of the LATAM area. And I am liking it again. Now, during COVID, for those of you who were following me during COVID, I really liked it during COVID. Kaboom. It was trading around $500-600. Went to over 1,800. I don't even know, 2,400 what it got to eventually, as people were buying and buying and buying in those areas, and stopped. But here we are again, and people aren't slowing down their spend. And we're starting to see a turn here with MACD. And once that happens, then once we see RSI turn, we should see a push to the upside again. Another run up to the upside. So I am liking Mercado Libre. Not talking about with the buy or sell. We don't do that here. Yes, Forex Live now says all eyes are on Tesla as we near the Robo-Taxi release. There you go, 328 now a share. I do like this move. I do like Tesla right here. As our friend Howard Greenberg says, do not fade the Musk. He is right, and especially now. But we are seeing a descending pattern here and triangle. And I will show you what I mean by that. So we could see right around the 23rd of the month, which is in 3 days, Monday or Tuesday of next week, possibly, where we need to break out. The breakout could be now. It could be breaking out now as we start to move here. This is 328. There it is right there. So it is starting to want to break out a bit, but it is getting slapped back a couple times. So to me, the path of least resistance is to the upside, not to the downside. All right, I got about 2 minutes now to the open. We'll keep our eyes on the open. I will pull up the cues here for everybody. as we and I'll pull up a 1 second chart so we can see it in real time. Here we go. There we go. I do expect to see quite a bit. Yeah, and I see Kroger now raising their forecast for the year now, which is what we expected, right? We expected to see that. So I want to see clarity. All right, let's go. Here we go. We got about 30 seconds now to the open. 35 seconds to the open now, and here we go. Iranian foreign minister now has arrived in Geneva venue for talks with European counterparts, and then he'll be on his way to the United States next. So things are getting a little more clear there with Iran and Israel. Here we go. And if you look at the 1 second chart where the RSI is oversold, I think we're going to see a push to the upside here. Let's see if we can't break some of these levels that we saw this morning here. 540 obviously is the 52-week high. We are open now. Seeing a little bit of movement here to the, and I will keep my eye on the Qs. We'll keep our eyes on Tesla. Tesla, yeah, seeing a little bit of slippage after that first break to the upside. There we go. So profit taken from the retail, as some of them cannot buy or sell in the early market, pre-markets. There you go, 328 now again, once again on Tesla. Keep our eye here on NVIDIA as well. NVIDIA now, look at that, up on the day now, up 40 cents. And making highs here. Highs of the day, 146. We'll also keep our eyes on Eli Lilly, as Eli Lilly now, down $4 here. Eli Lilly getting smacked here, down $8 now. $9 now. Eli Lilly down about $8 now on this trade here. I am buying more Eli Lilly here. I own my second buy here on Eli Lilly is happening now. I'm going to go at market because I think that the markets can absorb it fast. And I just bought more Eli Lilly here. There we go. That order came in, and we bought Eli Lilly here on this dip at 776.56. So we're right about where we were. Yeah, good. That NVIDIA buy this morning. Oh, NVIDIA getting smacked here. Yeah, oof, didn't expect that. Yeah, okay. And NVIDIA still pretty holding here, steady. We'll keep our eye on Eli Lilly. Oh. We're hearing reports that Eli Lilly will appeal against, well, that's kind of tough news coming out now, against the UK regulators' recognition not to reimburse the cost of the Alzheimer's drug. I think that's kind of bad. The UK needs to reimburse. And I like this Lilly buy here, and I might buy a little bit more here. Hopefully I can get in quick enough here. Move before the move. There we go. And my last order here on Eli Lilly. That's why I like to not buy full shares here. I like to buy and ease in. 769.39. So I will average those out for you. And that's why I like dollar cost averaging. 776.56 plus 769.39 is 772.97. So let's see if I can't get back up there a little bit. We'll keep our eye on it here a little bit. And keep our eye here also on Tesla. As Tesla, look at that, now up $9 now. As most of you know, I am pretty heavy Tesla, so I still believe that Tesla, as we get close to the robotic taxis. Should have kept my eye there on a little closer, right? Eli Lilly still slipping a little bit. Feds Wallace says we're in a good position to bring rates down. There you go. See. There you go. Need to get to about 772. Right about here is where I'm averaged in. So we'll see if we can get that back. There you go. 770, 771 and a half. All right. Continue to push. Tesla back to 331.35, almost $9 now. $9 now a share. Whew, good for them. I mean, with Feds Waller talking about rate cuts, I mean that should be a boon to the markets here right now. Kroger KR still up as they have increased their forecasts and now looking. There we go. Keeping our eye here. Yep. If you get a chance, I got some comments out there. We got, good morning. Feel like the rumor of Fed rate cuts in July being priced in this morning. That is correct. I agree with that. Very much so. Lucky Charts. I think that's what we talked about this morning. I said, as soon as this happens, Boeing, another one that we talked about. That's how you can pretty much tell if Boeing will do very well with rate cuts because they borrow money, right? Rate cuts will help that. I do like this. If you haven't a chance, make sure you retweet out this stream going on because numbers are moving up. I love it. I love it. Eli Lilly, 767, not quite there yet. NVIDIA, and then, of course, Tesla here this morning. So I've had a pretty good run this morning on a few of these stocks. Not happy with my Eli Lilly, but I get the dollar cost average a little bit here, so this is good. Boeing now pushing up too as well. Ten-year 4.415 now percent. Slipping a little bit too. That's good. And there it is, 772.41 now on Eli Lilly. So we need to see just a little bit more of a jump there, and might clean off some of that, but not quite yet. I do like this push back to the upside. I think that the sellers were a little early on this one, and I was a little early on the buy. So happens. China Daily now reporting that China's fiscal revenue decline narrowed in the first quarter here. So with the first 5 months, actually even going deeper than that in the first 5 months, I'll post that here too so everybody can see that too as well. There you go. A little bit of profit taking hitting the markets a little bit here this morning as some people are taking the profits. I just don't. I totally understand that. Take that profit, but I am not. I'm still going to stay long on almost all of this stuff. Mm. Eli Lilly gets still getting smacked here a little bit. Not liking this so far. Putin now says we will develop military technical cooperation with friendly skies. So it looks like Vladimir Putin is speaking right now. There we go. 800 now viewing us now. Let's get it up. Let's get the number over 1,000. I like that. We will have Steve Flanagan here in about 20 minutes talking about Forex as we go into the macro side of things too as well. And I'm excited about that because he always has a great perspective on what is going on in the markets, especially when it comes to international. He'll be coming up at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. It's fairly quiet going into this as we continue to watch these markets here. Keeping our eye here. Let's go to QQQ. As the Qs are up only about 4 points here, 0.8% overall here. Keeping our eyes on the overall market here, but seems to be fairly muted here. As the Nasdaq's up about 140 points here. Fed's Waller just says the Fed has been on pause for 6 months waiting for an inflation shock that has not arrived. And I agree with that. Tesla walking itself down a little bit here. Eli Lilly slowly chilling out a bit. NVIDIA holding steady here. And Boeing still up about 0.8% in line with the markets. Keep our eye on here on Tesla. Dollar yen now sitting around 145.78 now. Apple up about 2% here now at about $200 a share now, 274. Steve Flanagan saying that Fed Waller appears to finally be a voice of reason. Yeah, we're hearing that, right? In between him and the Cleveland Fed governor, I agree. I think we're starting to see that now, where the dissension is now in the ranks, where they're now no longer listening to. And I'd love to have Steve Flanagan come in a little early if he can, as Howard is out today. But we'll see if he's able to do that. But Steve's right. Look, when we look at the overall markets, we're seeing that. They're telling us that unemployment. We saw another 1,000 job losses, right? I mean, this is not a good chance to. If you want to see job losses and you want to see inflation go up, that's stagflation, right? We don't want to see that. So we're seeing Apple now slipping a little bit here on the 1 second chart here, a little bit, and Eli Lilly still slipping now, down 3% on the day. Ouch. Fed's Daily will be on CNBC at 4 o'clock tonight. So expect more Fed speak. Expect more Fed speak all day today, actually. Mary Daly will be on CNBC at 4 p.m. Eastern time today. Eli Lilly's still slipping here. Should find some bounce here with that right around there. That news is pretty strong. Yeah, RSI is starting to tell me. And we're seeing a little bit of the turbo, CCI turbo. What is CCI coming through too as well? So I'm liking that too as well. There you go. There's what we talked about earlier, the dollar, Canadian dollar, with Steve Flanagan talking about it too as well. Oh, looky there. You feeling good, Steve Flanagan? All right, we'll bring Steve Flanagan in a little early as I'm feeling lonely here. Steve Flanagan, how are you, man? We had Juneteenth. We celebrated the markets closed yesterday, some of them, I guess. Today, we saw a little bit more of Putin talking about how his military complex isn't the only thing that's good over there, as well as he was talking very seriously about how his world over in Russia is doing quite well. Everything's good over there. Do you believe that?
No, Steve, this is, your classic propaganda, but, because they want to fight off the appearance of a tighter tariff control against Russia.
Right.
And I would have to say, don't worry, Russia. The world attention is coming to you. First, we have a 2-week pause to allow some negotiations. Europe is jumping involved here with Iran. No shocker that China has just come out and thrown its weight behind Iran. I mean, they get all their oil from Iran. So,
Right.
of course, there's a vested interest there. the fact is that in 2 weeks' time, in the Ayatollah, he's got a religious belief, and he's very strong, and he holds it near and dear, and he's going to hold on to that tightly. He's not going to give in, and he's going to, basically negotiate, but not just as they've always done. And it's leaves the people of Iran out there left alone. So I do think this clash will reemerge, but I do think that in a couple of weeks' time, 2 weeks for exact, it'll be over.
Yeah, you have to ask the question. I know that we don't believe in regime change, but this is a different president who's not taking any nonsense. And to me, it feels like Trump is going to put some regime change, because Ayatollah Khomeini is he's not a political leader. He is a religious leader, right? So this is a little bit different than he's not duly elected in any way. So do you think that this is a different situation? Do you think we'll be taking him out of power?
I think he'll either leave, but I think he will be taken out. Yes. And I think it's, as you just stated, a religious leader who controls a nuclear arsenal potential. That just is not going to happen. And I think the whole world supports that view, because so I really don't, yes, it's going to continue to be a market mover, a volatility moment. You're going to have to trade the headlines on it. The possibility that oil could spike, but in general, I see the oil prices coming down. But, again, Steve, let's just take a back step from Iran. I don't think it's a big market mover outside of a flash headline. Let's review what's happened this week. Japan's left rates unchanged. They're reducing the amount of JGB buying. Right. They own 53.5% of the JGB outstanding market. That's like absurd. But Fed's unchanged. Right. Tariffs equals inflation. That's the Fed. So that's something we could look at. 7 of the 7 members from 4 see no rate cuts in 2025. So it's refreshing to see Wallace speaking. So
yeah, it's not just Waller though. You got the Cleveland Fed president too, the new one. She's also saying the same thing. I think they're starting to. There is, we've seen over the last 6 months that they all vote the same way, but I think now they're visibly and physically and verbally now saying it, as opposed to just backing off and letting Powell do what he wants. Is that correct?
Exactly, Steve. And you could see that again. We're all in the same bubble. We're all in the same world. We're all fighting. So the Fed is out there saying tariff equals inflation. In the Bank of England, they stayed unchanged at 4.25%, but 3 voting members, so 6-3, now voted for a rate cut. So that's big. And you're beginning to see the same thing that now with Fed Waller and Chicago, you're seeing the same in England. SNB, they cut rates to 0%.
Yay, Switzerland.
And they're actually saying they could go further, but they're attempting to counter lower inflationary pressures. Norway cut 0.25% to 4.25%, the first time since 2020. And they plan to cut again, saying inflation has come down faster than expected. China remained unchanged at 3%. And look at Canada. Industrial production down 0.5%. Retail sales down 1.1%, the lowest in the largest in a year. Where is this inflation that the Fed is holding on to? They have entrenched the academics that dominate the Fed, have entrenched themselves into classic economic theory, which is tariffs equals inflation.
And when we say that, he continued, he said it again, that inflation is in check, but it's still rearing its ugly head out there a little bit. Where is he seeing the inflation? I mean, he's obviously saying he's data, quote, according to Bloomberg reporter again, that he's data dependent. By the way, we're both wearing gray today. I like that. We're thinking, yeah. He's data. What data is he actually looking at that he's saying, okay, inflation's up? Is it egg prices, which are down again? Is it oil prices, which are $73.03 a barrel? It's pretty much in check. I don't see where he's seeing the inflation. Where is he seeing the inflation?
I think, Steve, again, you and I have been eye to eye. The models that they use are antiquated, out of date, and they don't work, yet they're going to hold on to this theory that inflation is going to surge. So let's hold the Fed accountability. Fed says tariffs equals inflation. They said that there's going to be a surge in inflation. Okay, let's let it. Okay, fine. Fed, you're right. Let's see what happens. But if it doesn't happen, here we are yet again in another inflation is transitory. You know, they're going to have an accountability here. Meanwhile, on the currency side, what you're beginning to see is an ebbing here. The dollar is beginning to turn, as I think a lot of money moves first, and people are looking around the world, and the Fed is getting themselves into an insignificant corner, but the dollar is still a 4.5% currency in a world where everybody is cutting rates.
I'm going to share the screen here for the Dixie right now. You've been talking about it for a while. See, I got a 1 hour chart up here now. 98.69. You called, said, look, the bottom is in pretty much. And I'm going to pull up a daily chart now on the Dixie. Here's where we are. What are your thoughts here? Do we start the turn to the upside to the 100 handle, or are we going down and try to test that 96.50 you were talking about a week ago?
So, Steve, that's the line in the sand. I don't think the dollar can go below 94.5, 95.5. It's possible that, the world on another big negative U.S. thing, that the world, nails the dollar. It's in oversold territory, and that's the key thing here. When I go back into the charts, though, because charts are good for a look back, they kind of tell you where you were, and there's some things you can draw. So if you look back in March of 22, before we made a 15% move up to 114.78, the most recent highs, there was a closing level of 98.63. When we broke above that level, we never went back. We made a 15% move up. Now, when I take, again, another look, last year, July, we had a protracted period of oversold stochastics. When the dollar turned, the dollar made a 10% move up to the highs. So I'm clinging to this 98.63 level as a major point in time, which if we can close this week above, I think the upside territory is open. I look for a first objective of 100.25. And if the momentum begins to change, because, hey, July 9th is getting closer and closer,
right?
And there's a lot of talk they may delay it again because there's so many talks that are beginning to ebb. But if we begin to see some positive news, you could have a momentum push up to 104 in the dollar index.
So right where about the middle part of the 114 and the 98. Is that what you're thinking?
That's where I'm thinking, Steve. Yep.
Yeah.
So
how would you play this, Steve?
Well, I have an easy stop loss here. Last week's low was 97.60. So if we break last week's low, I believe it was last Thursday, that's my risk point. So what am I risking? I'm risking 100 points right now here on the downside. Yeah. But I think the top side could yield, perhaps 200 to 400 points. Ooh, so I think that's a nice low risk reward here play.
So what Steve was saying here is he's saying that, look, the recent low was right here. And he was saying that we were pushing to the upside again here, and that we could test in the midsection here, Fibonacci retracement here a little bit to the midsection. And I do like this play. Would you be buying the dollar against the yen or against the euro or against the loonie?
Well, I specifically like it against the euro because the European economic situation is beginning to, after the surge before the April, right? Now we're beginning to see the numbers come out and show a cratering again. The recent inflation figures out of Germany, dropped yet again. And you're in a situation where there's a number of ECB officials beginning to say, hey, we can go on to the lower side of 2%. Now, with the
Mhm.
Switzerland going to 0% and Norway cutting, the pressure is down on interest rates within Europe. So I like it against the euro in particular, but I'm watching the yen as well because, as I said, with Japan holding 53.25% of the entire JGB, there's a delicate role here. Inflation did just get reported up, which is a good thing, which opens up as inflation goes higher in Japan. Japan can raise interest rates, 25 years of fighting deflation. So, Japan, I look at Japan as a unique situation here where I think we could see the dollar trade higher. We're presently around the 145.70 level. Last week's close was 144.70, 144.07. Now, yen is a safe haven currency. The moment something happens in the world, boom, everybody sells the dollar, buys the yen as a safe haven at a 0.5% interest rate. It's kind of counterintuitive, but that's the way the markets trade. So we
I mean,
don't want to.
I gotta be in Japan. When should I go back? When I get the most bang for my buck here?
Well, I think you're in the process. I think you could see the dollar yen up around the 148 level before maybe it begins to flatline and trade 147, 152 overall. So I think the yen is going to be weakening, Steve, somewhat. But based on geopolitics, that's one that you're going to headline trade, and you want to sell dollar yen the moment the headlines jump out. If I look at North America, the CAD is weakening, as we just said. There's their economic is horrible, presently around the 137.20 level, and the MEX 19.02. Last week we closed at 18.93 and a half. So the MEX is a 8.5% interest rate. So if I say I have money and I don't want to put it in the US dollar because of all this uncertainty, then I have the MEX as a high interest rate currency at 8.5%, or I could go north to Canada. And both of those are beginning to weaken. So that's showing me that there is money beginning, because everybody's plowed out of the dollar. Money is beginning to move back in. I watch the equity markets in the U.S. If we close high today, there's weekend risk. We have a lot of triple witching today, but I do look for the equity markets. If we begin to continue to turn, money is going to have to follow. And the currency markets are out of whack with what's going on in our domestic markets.
Yeah, but you got to think that a lot of foreigners are looking at our country going, you're not the imperialistic country that you used to be. You're not the powerhouse that used to be. Where is money moving to? And it had been moving to Europe, right? I mean, Germany was growing in the last 5-6 months. And you're starting to see Japan, start to see that. And I mean, whether or not you believe Russia's numbers or not is a question mark. But with that, I kind of agree with you. I kind of think that the stand up of President Trump to the world and saying we're going to take over the Iranian situation makes it look like we're back in charge, right? And the dollar is a safe place again.
Yeah, Steve, very similar here to the Fed. The world has an opinion on the U.S., and the Fed has an opinion on inflation, but neither appear to be bearing out in the price. And the data, as we used to say, data don't lie. And the data is moving favorable. So all of these gigantic models that dominate the real size money in the world is beginning to come up and say, I'm so underweight. Remember, these models are at probably historic underweight levels. Now, I don't have factual proof of that, but based on the price action in the market, I would think that that's probably fairly true. Now, that doesn't mean that they've sold U.S. assets. It means that they've hedged and that they've created a very large hedge. So as these models begin to turn, you take your view and your opinion and you can send it to the back seat because the models will begin to execute. And I believe that is what I'm looking for. I've been calling for June, all right, my timing appears a little off because I really couldn't see the headlines back in January, February that we are seeing. But I do believe that we're at the precipice of this turn, and the dollar index, or the euro dollar, but use the dollar index, that's beginning to tell me that the bottom appears to be in. If you want to keep a very tight stop loss, then use this level of 98.63. If we get below it, you have no position. But if we stay above it on a closing basis today, because it's all about a Friday close with models, then you want to be long. So there is a 10-point risk.
And in the low of the day here in the session was 98.53. So would you move that stop there to 98.53, or would you leave it where you said?
That's providing a little bit of discretion to a technical level. Yes,
Okay.
Steve, I would. I would say if you break the 50 level, you bail.
And your thesis here, what are you talking about? What? Give me a number here, boss.
On what, Steve? On
the Dixie. Where do you think it's going to go, and where do you think it's going in the time frame here?
I think we could see 100, and I think that if we close above 98.63, I think you could perhaps see that by first week of July.
First week of July. That's a pretty good move. Then I like that. All right, Steve Flanagan, my man. I think that I can't imagine you making any bad calls because you haven't done one in like about 3 months now. So there's a reason why you could
even bring the time frame up on that, Steve. As we get closer and closer to the end of June, the models all begin to kick in because the end of the month is when all the rebalancing takes place. And if my theory is correct, that the market is very underweight in the US dollar for the variety of opinions and reasons in the world, then you could see this into the end of June.
A lot of people say, what's the catalyst here that would set this thing on fire, right? If the Dixie is going back up and people moving money back into the United States, what would be the reason for you? What is it you're looking forward to here?
One is a stock market that's as elevated as it is, but two would be the next trade agreement.
Yeah. Next trade agreement. Okay. Do you see one coming?
Steve, I think you're going to see a number of them coming. I think that, if we look at Japan, the economic growth outside of the United States is minimal. And I think it's in everybody's vested interest to readjust this trade situation. We cannot continue to go along, and I think everybody acknowledges we can't continue to go along running deficits, $1 trillion deficits in general. Right. It doesn't make any sense. You and I don't run our checkbooks at home like that. Nobody does. So why should our government be doing that? And why should the world be doing that?
And they shouldn't be, Steve Flanagan. Steve Flanagan, we'll see you right back here on Monday. Thanks for everything. And you know what? Flanagan's very bullish on the Dixie. I love it, man. I'll see you on Monday, man.
Have a good weekend.